Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Celia Lee Show, the podcast that's all about empowering you to become the best version of yourself and also have a juicier life. Not only that, we're here to elevate, educate, and entertain. I'm your girl, your bestie, Celia Lee. So today is another one, different, another setting at home, but I have a guest today. Um, we got our tea
Yes,
here.
we got the coffee.
Yeah. And we basically, oh, I forgot to introduce you, sorry. So we got Josie here, who is a certified, let me get this right. Let me get my notes, so I get this right. Certified mindset and leadership coach who helps women overcome imposter syndrome, taking aligned action, and stand fiercely in their magic. Powerful. She's also an author and a podcast host, which I
Yes.
also and I can't wait for her to share her wisdom with us. So, welcome, Josie. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Celia. I'm really, really excited, especially because we just have like our coffees, our teas, and we can have a chat, and it's going to be so good. I can't wait.
Yeah. How's your New Year's been?
It's been so chill. Like, I think this was the most chill New Year's I've ever had because we literally slept into the new year and I had such a peaceful sleep. So I didn't even wake up with all of the noise that was going on outside. I think my boyfriend woke up a couple times, my cats too, but I was just sleeping like a rock, literally. So I guess I needed it. I needed a very peaceful sleep into the new year.
Yeah. I didn't do much either. I just, because first of all, it's too cold to go outside and watch fireworks
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I just stayed home, watched TV to watch the fireworks, and then that's it. Went to sleep. You know what? I
Nice.
think when you get to your 30s, you're just like, yeah, I don't care.
Yes, literally. I'm like, yeah, this is how it is in the 30s. You just go to bed early and you don't care no more. You're just like, no,
When I
thanks.
was younger, in my 20s, I used to have this pressure that um I have to go out because otherwise I
Hmm.
would be seen as loner, no friends or something like that. There's this pressure to
Yes.
have to be a certain way. And so talking about that, the pressure of being a certain way, I feel like New Year's, there's a pressure of having a New Year's resolution because so a few years ago, I this is kind of embarrassing. I never knew what New Year's resolution was a few years ago. I don't know how long ago, but like many, many years ago. And then
Hmm.
someone was like, "What's your New Year's resolution?" I was like, "What's that?" And then they was like, like, "What's the goal for the year?" Da, da, da. And in that moment, I felt embarrassed the fact that I didn't know what it is, and the fact that I didn't set one. I was thinking, "Oh shit, does that mean
Like, how
I'm
dare you?
yeah?" Like I was embarrassed, thinking, "Oh shit, I feel like I had to have a New Year's resolution to
Hmm.
sort of, again fit in or feel good that oh yeah, I'm also that person who's trying to do better, da, 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 things like that. And if I don't have one, then I'm just like a bomb sort of thing. That's how I felt at the
Mm.
time. But now, and then afterwards, I started setting New Year's resolution, and obviously we know most of us don't stick to it. We forget about it. And now, last couple of years, I've just been setting intentions instead. So, for example, like my intention this year, as I said, I just want to be more bold,
I like
and
that.
yeah, and also have more build that self-trust, which is your next perk, of course.
Yes.
So, yeah, what's your take on what I just said? Do you agree?
I agree. And I think actually, so for me, in my opinion, New Year's, yes, can't talk, resolutions are literally only a thing in January, maybe February. After that, everybody has forgotten and no one cares anymore.
Mm.
Unless you're like really maybe like diligent with it and you maybe write things down and you're like, no, 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 I really want to make this happen. But the thing in itself, New Year's resolutions, literally is just like a topic I feel like to talk about in the first couple of weeks of January. And then everybody's like, oh yeah, we failed. Oh, cool. And then you just forget about it. And you're like, okay, towards the next December, you set a new one and you're like, okay, but
Yeah.
this year I will make it. So from my point of view, I actually don't necessarily believe in New Year's resolutions because one,
Mm.
you can change at any point in the year. Like you don't need to wait for the 31st of December, right, to
No.
change things up. So you can choose to change things in March, in June, August, September. It literally doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I hope you can't hear my cat. She's like going bonkers.
No. I can't.
She's like, let me in. And I'm like,
Mm.
no, I'm sorry. But yeah, so from that perspective, I'm like, I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
What I am a fan of is, like you say, like setting intentions and being a
Mm.
bit more intentional with what you want to achieve or where you want to grow into basically in the new year or in this time that you have ahead now ahead of you, now that you decided you want to change something, right? Again, it doesn't need
Yeah.
to be the 31st of December.
Yeah.
So for me, and we shared that at Martha's dinner, which was super lovely. I was
Mm.
saying like my word basically for the new year is peace. So
Mm.
it was a perfect start into the new year as well because it was a very peaceful sleep, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm already on the vibe of this intention of just having
Mm.
peace and not stressing out about
Yeah.
things
You,
as
you see,
much.
this is another thing. You see how you said that your intention is peace. A lot of people think New Year's resolution has to be something tangible, like, oh, I have to, it's a big change. Like, okay, this year I'm gonna lose weight, for example,
Mhm.
most common one. I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna have to lose this amount of weight, whatever, things like that. And then afterwards, I think people don't do it because they didn't realize, oh my God, it takes so much work. And
Yeah.
then after they feel bad about themselves, then they get discouraged. Oh, actually, no, there's no point of me doing it, blah blah, things like that. See, well, I don't know if I don't know if this is count as a New Year's resolution, but it's like ages ago. I used to be like, this year I want to be able to do the box split. So,
Oh.
yeah,
Hmm.
like, this is before, not now anymore. And then you'll be
Hmm.
like, and then I'll be like, okay, every day, but obviously I will then sort of plan it. Okay, every at least 3 weeks in gym, I'll be have to do these type of stretches, and I haven't done it.
Like
But
no.
I still can't do box.
Yeah, I had one, I think a couple of years ago, like maybe 5 years ago, where I was like, oh, I really want to get into yoga. So I did
Mm,
the Gymshark 66 challenge
yeah,
and I did do it. Like I finished the challenge. I did do all the 66 days with yoga, but then afterwards I was like, I'm not sure if I want to continue doing that no more. So I stopped doing yoga for quite a while, but then I picked it up again because I
yeah,
wanted. I think the problem with setting those goals of like, I want to lose 10 kilos, I want to do the box split or whatever is very outcome based. And it's
mm,
like you have this end goal, and right now it
yeah,
feels like so far away, and you're like, shit, like how do I even get there?
yeah,
Um, but versus like something like feeling bold or being bold or
mm,
peace is more like a feeling, it's more a
yeah,
process. So
mm-hmm,
it's intangible, but at the same time tangible because you can always tell if you check in with yourself,
yeah,
do I feel bold right now? Was that bold what I
yeah,
did? Could I
and all,
go bolder or was it peaceful or not?
yeah, exactly, and also let's say take bold as my intention as an example. When you set that intention that I'm going to be more bold, you naturally, well, you should know naturally you would be like, okay, I'm going to be bold, so I'm going to do this,
Hmm.
I'm going to do that. So once you've done all of this stuff, then you are going to start. You are basically creating your life, basically writing your story because you're bold and you created history, basically.
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
my question to you here would be, do you write then down what you did in like with that intention? Do you track it somewhere just so you can
So
look back
I
on it?
journal. So I
Nice.
journal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love journaling. I journal almost every single morning. And I always do talk about what I've done, how I feel. So yeah, I do celebrate like my wins, small wins, things like that. But at the same time, I also do talk about the stuff that I'm not happy with. Where when I feel disappointed in myself, I do also write it
Hmm.
down. So in that sense, yeah, I do write it down. But I also do write a list of stuff that I want to do. But they're not necessarily like goals. It's just like I know these are my intention to do these.
Yeah.
But the main focus is being bold. And whether these will happen, they might happen, but they might not all of them might happen. But at least I know it's like a guide for me. So yeah.
I love that. It's very similar to me as well. Like again, like the overall theme will be peace, but I do have like a little list with projects. I call them projects rather than goals that
Mm,
I want to make happen or like that I would at least want to like start. So one of them for me is writing another book and not a so I wrote a non-fiction book
mm,
first. That was last year, but I want to write a fiction book and that's something that has been scaring me like so much. So
mm,
in order for that to happen in a peaceful way, I'm
mm,
just allowing myself like all the time I need. And I broke it down into like tiny steps. So One being I'm starting a novel and longer works kind of like writing course. It's from the City University, I think. So it's like a 10-week course just to learn a bit more about it. So it takes a little bit the edge of um, having to create a perfect plot or characters or all of those kind of things, right? Just to build self-trust here as well, just on a
Mm,
slower level, and to take
mm,
this like pressure, but also like fear of having to perform and now live up to this a little bit off basically my nervous system because I want to
mm,
feel peaceful with it. I don't want to be
yeah.
stressed out all the time when I think about my next book. I want to be like, this is a project I love and I really enjoy
Mm.
doing.
Yeah. I think a lot of times when we do certain things, we want to feel good about it because a lot of
Mhm.
times when people set, let's go back to New Year's resolution goals, they actually don't enjoy it. They end up feeling
Exactly.
like, oh my God, like this is a dread. Oh my God, but I have to do it. It's like almost, it's like you're punishing yourself, I feel like.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's very toxic, to be honest. People think, oh yeah, New Year's resolution, like that's it, new year, new me. Um, like this how it should be because it's all about personal development, but it's very toxic because in a way it's like one, you're saying there's something wrong with you, the previous version of you, although you might have done some bad stuff in previous year that you're not proud of or something or whatever, but it's that's part of your journey, part of, you should really embrace your journey, accept your past. And also it's like kind of like rejecting, I said this in my previous episode, it's like rejecting that old you.
Yeah.
Again, self-love, not accepting yourself. Self-love is about accepting all of you, not including the past you, even the version that maybe could have been when you done some really bad stuff or something, morally wrong or whatever, but still also accepting who you are, but embrace that basically. And yeah, and I think it's just toxic having to think the only way to change is new is 1st of January. I think anyway.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. That is
Yeah.
very true. Because, and I love the one word that you used is like this thought of I have to do this, like as if it's
Mm.
like an order or like a rule or like something that you need to force yourself to do now rather than I want to do this. This is something I really
Mm.
enjoy doing and I feel like
Yeah.
makes me feel great about myself or whatever. But with the word like I have to do this, it's very forceful.
Yeah.
It's not as like nicely leading, like naturally, or almost like guiding. It's more like, no, no, no. You do this. If you don't do this, then you're a failure. You didn't reach anything. And like then you make it mean something about yourself. And
Hmm.
that's obviously where we don't want to get into with all of
Yeah.
this.
And I think people also will end up comparing themselves to other people, like the goals.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's doing it's like she's this is her goal. I've got to be also as ambitious as her. So I also need to set this goal. But it's like you got to do something that's aligned with yourself.
Mm.
We also, by the way, guys, we're not saying that goals are not good, but we're just saying that you don't want to be just like you said in the beginning, just focus on that outcome, on the end goal. We have to be intentional. So yeah, I just think people think they just keep comparing themselves basically, which are not a lot of us do that in everyday life anyway.
I mean, it
And
happens all the
mm,
time and so
yeah,
easily. I mean, I did it myself last year, and I first didn't think about that I did it because I created a vision board. And my mistake was I made it very outcome based. And for example, I put one picture of like a woman on there and she was so fit. I was just like, oh my gosh, she's got the
no,
nicest abs.
I'm guilty. Me
The
too,
nicest
actually.
abs. And I was just like, I want those abs. I want to be as lean. But then things didn't turn out like that way. It wasn't my strongest. I was definitely like really fit. Because I work out anyway, so that wasn't the
Mm,
issue. But I wasn't as lean because then I obviously got pregnant and then I had like a miscarriage as well. So
mm,
my body was in shambles and it didn't look
mm,
like that. And then I looked back at the vision board and I was like, oh, I didn't reach that. And I was, oh, hang on, no, no, no. You're comparing yourself right now to a
yeah.
stranger on the internet who has a nice body. It's not you, it's not your
Mm,
genetics. Like, nah, don't do that.
yeah,
So I really had to like catch myself in that moment, be like, you've still done great. Like you showed up, you enjoyed the process of working out, you feel great in
yeah.
your body. That's what
Being kind to
matters.
yourself.
Being kind to yourself, exactly.
Yeah.
And not just like comparing, oh, I don't look a certain way, or I
Yeah.
don't look like her, or I'm not as tanned as this person, I don't have abs like this person. Like, that's not what it's about.
And yeah, and also this is something I said. First of all, there's nothing wrong having wanting to have abs. But I've always said to people, when I was a personal trainer, I said to people like, don't just be chasing for abs. For example, like, does having abs make you happy? If you're not happy, right? Do you really think the abs will make you happy? Um,
Exactly.
and also, does that mean if you don't have abs, does that mean you're not as worthy? You're not you don't look good or something. I think we just have I've always told them learn to love your body. And now when I say learn to love your body, I'm not saying to, there are some toxic body positivity
Yeah.
saying that I embrace my curves and they're not working out, they just eat all this unhealthy stuff, like saying
Hmm.
like I'm just curvy, but that's different. I think that's just being denial. But I'm saying as in love your body, as in love the way it is, because naturally we all have different shapes, but
Exactly.
still continue to work out because you want to move your body, because we want to move our body to be mobile and also build strength and to live longer and be able to do certain things in everyday life and also eat to
Hmm.
nourish your body. Eat quality nutritious food to nourish your body, not because you want to have abs. And I don't really like people, well, I shouldn't say I don't like, but I'm not keen on that idea because I then feel like you're focusing on an external
Yeah.
outcome and you're not going inwards to heal the internal issues because it's not fixing your issues. Because if you're not happy, for example, let's say you, I don't know, previous year you went for a breakup and you might thinking, okay, this year, I don't know, people might do, I want a revenge body or something,
Hmm.
not actually fixing the wound. So yeah, that's an example. I don't know if it's a good example, but yeah.
That is a really good example.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like it. It's a good one.
Oh, something just came up to me, to my mind. Said earlier, said something about 31st of December, people are setting goals. And also, and I think for me, it's also the energy might have shifted because let's say you set a goal, and then by when it does hit New Year's, 2 months later, you'd be like, actually, I feel like I want to do this instead. I feel like this is more aligned with me.
Hmm.
I feel like that's why, like, 1st of January, is there's nothing magical about it. It could be anywhere, at any time of the year that you want to improve yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be that one date where you set goals and then you reach them throughout the year. You can set goals at any point in time, and you can make changes at any point in time. Like that's why I also normally say like your new year doesn't start on the 31st. It starts
Mm.
now. If you don't decide
Mm,
now, then it starts tomorrow. If you don't decide tomorrow,
yeah.
then it starts the day after. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's just numbers on like a calendar that someone put down, and then we just decide, oh yeah,
Mm,
that's a new year now, and it number changes, but we are still the same person. If
yeah.
we don't change, we will need to make the
Yeah.
decision, and it doesn't.
Because what if the calendar
Yeah,
didn't exist?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But there are different calendars out there as well. Like there
Yeah,
are other
exactly. Like
cultures
Chinese,
who
we
have
have been,
exactly. You have
yeah.
different New Years. So could you then just set another goal at that New Year? What, like it doesn't really mean anything unless you make it mean
Mm,
something. So.
yeah. I kind of think it's from like the society, this media, social media that kind of make you feel like, oh, new me, the resolution. And also another thing, actually, I feel like resolution is like business.
Mm,
So I say that because, let's say, for example, gym. Right now, a lot of the gyms are doing like half price or no joining fee, all of that kind of stuff. It's like they're using that tactic on people's mindset, be like, okay, I'm gonna put pressure on you, okay, new year, new you, blah blah blah. So we're gonna do, basically
mm.
all these offers. I mean, nothing wrong. I know you want to get business, but I'm just saying it's also business.
Yes, it is. It totally is. I mean, we
Mm,
just walked past a gym yesterday when we went to Starbucks, and there were like two people standing outside and were like literally promoting the gym. And I was like, yeah, working out, going to the gym, New Year's resolution. There you
mm,
see it. It literally is business. I mean, same with like, wasn't it like the Santa Claus that what like, was like invented by Coca-Cola or something? Because like in that format, he doesn't even exist. So there is a lot of like economics that
yeah.
feeds into this that just made it this
Mm,
normal new standard. And I feel like that's always where you are on a good side if you just question it a little bit.
mm,
Like, what's the motive of
mm,
this and what's the source of this? Like,
yeah,
does it really align with what I want? Is it just like
mm,
externally focused, or is it actually aligned with
mm,
my own feelings, what I want to reach in like life?
yeah. And also, I think sometimes another thing is, I don't know what you think of this, but maybe some people, because sometimes setting New Year's resolution could also be like, some goals require privilege. You might not have the time, although I know that you
Mm.
always say that we can make time, but you might not have the sort of time, money, or support. Let's say a mother who has, I don't know, 3 kids or something like that, and let's say her goal is to, let's go, because I'm a personal trainer, let's go back to fitness goal, has to do this. She might not necessarily have the time. And then and obviously she's not exactly going to think that she's a failure because she didn't set a New Year's resolution goal, because her 3 young kids requires her
Mm.
attention. She got so much to do. So I feel like, yeah, New Year's, just because you don't have a New Year's resolution doesn't mean you're not wanting to change, or so not change, to become a better version of yourself, basically.
Just a quick one. I want to ask you a big favor. Can you please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already done so? Follow me on Spotify or whatever platform you're listening on, because it would help me grow my channel, help me reach more people. It would mean the world to me. Thank you so, so much. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Talking about goals. So let's say if someone do want to set goals, not New Year's resolution, but in general, how can they stick to it?
Yeah, that is the question. How do we
Yeah.
stick to goals? So here it literally, I feel like, and how I've seen most success also like with working when working with clients or also with myself. So
Mm,
I'm taking here the example from me writing my first book, right? So I set the goal first. I want to write a book. This is the topic I want to write about. So that was the goal and it was big. Like, okay, write a book. Where do we start? What do we do? And you can one go down like this rabbit hole of, damn, this is too much. This is just overwhelming me, or you break it down. So one thing that really helps with sticking to goals is just to break it down into tiny little steps and to kind of like make a plan, but don't plan too much.
mm,
I'm always like, yes, do research, yes, do planning, but give yourself like a deadline when you stop doing that, because otherwise you can plan and do research for a whole year, but you haven't
yeah.
actually done any work, and that's not what we want to do. If you want to write a book, you got to start writing. If you want
And I
to
think,
get fit, you got to work
yeah.
out.
And I think also we get carried on with the planning, thinking
Yeah.
the planning is actually the work. So we feel good
Hmm.
about it. The reason I say that because I used to be like that. Sometimes I do that as
Oh,
well.
I've done that. I feel like everybody's done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives us like this illusion of, oh yeah, we've
Mm,
made progress, but in
yeah.
actual fact, there's still 0 words on the paper.
Yeah.
We haven't written anything, or there's 0 workouts tracked in the app or whatever you
Mm,
use, right? So it's really about having a plan, but then we want to obviously get into doing and with the sticking to it. And that's why we go into habit building, because um, we gotta find a way where we are able to do the action. So one, we gotta make it a priority and find the time for it or carve out the time for it. So in my case with writing the book, I was saying every single day from 9 to 10, I would sit down and write, except for the weekends. Weekends I would not write. So I just have like a little
mm,
break. But Monday, Friday, every day, 9 to 10, it was untouchable. It was literally untouchable. I was just like, nope, this is my writing time. This is sacred. Like, my boyfriend wasn't allowed into the room. Sometimes I even kicked my cats out. And I was just like, yep, this
mm,
is my writing time. So I really prioritized it. And every single day I sat down and I wrote. I tracked my words every day, like to see how much I wrote. I always took a picture, for example. And I also had accountability help. So you can either have one accountability buddy or you can have like a
mm,
group of people when you're in a community, obviously.
mm,
I did it in a way where I had like a group of beta readers
mm,
who would expect like a new chapter every single week to read through whilst I was writing. So I would get feedback basically like live from
mm,
them whilst I was writing, but they also kept me accountable because
Mm.
they were like, Josie, where's the next chapter? Like, what's happening? Like, are you still writing? Like, oh, yes, 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 I am. I am. So that just really helped to get into this habit of daily writing practice and really getting it done. And it doesn't need to be perfect. Like, at first, you really just want to get into the process and make it happen. And we really need to let go of this. It needs to be perfect at the first try. Like, no, my first draft looked shit. Like, you couldn't even really call it a book, but yeah, it was really, really bad. And that's why you then bring it to an editor, right, to make it better. But
Yeah.
at first, you just want to get into the process and build this habit, and you can start small. I could have also said, if I don't want to do an hour, I could have said 10 minutes every day and start
Mm.
even smaller, or 20 minutes, or 5 minutes even, just to make it my new normal to sit down every day and write.
Mm. Think about accountability a bit. It's good to have accountability because I'm part of an accountability group, Martha's, but part of me also feel like, I don't know what you think about this, but the pressure of having to do something and then afterwards feeling bad because you haven't done it. I don't know if that makes sense. So like the
Mm.
accountability is to keep you accountable, obviously, but then there's also that pressure. Oh shit, now I need to do this, and then so then it becomes that sometimes it becomes too much, overwhelmed
Mhm.
because you haven't done it, and then the process doesn't. Then you won't enjoy the process. So I feel like it's I don't know, it's tricky.
Yeah, it's
Am I
definitely
making
like
sense? Yeah.
yeah, you totally make sense. It's a two, I mean, there are two sides of the coin, right? Like one part is obviously you have this additional kind of like driver because there are other people now having expectations on you too. But
Mm,
the other side that you're describing right now is like, oh my gosh, there are other people who are having expectations on me now as well,
mm,
and my own high expectations. So ugh, this is too much. So I feel like there it's really important. You don't have to be part of an accountability group or have one accountability buddy. It doesn't need to be
mm.
someone external if that maybe creates too much pressure. It
Yeah.
can just be you by you
Mm,
saying, for example, for every workout I do, I pay myself £2, and at the end, I want to have £100 so I can buy myself this fancy armchair that I saw and hold
mm,
yourself this way accountable. Because if you want this armchair, then you gotta save up the money and do the workouts, right? So it's really about more like tricking you into something, not necessarily tricking, but in the beginning, it is tricking your brain into doing something that at first might think is dangerous, it's unsafe. And that's with anything new that we're trying to do. The brain will be
mm,
like, danger, no, no, don't want to do it. I want to go home now. Like, thanks, I want to hide in the blanket and don't go outside no more. So we
mm,
got to trick it and be like, no, no, it's actually safe if you go there. Like, it's okay for
mm,
you to do that. So that's where you got to be mindful and really know, like, having other people, does it create too much pressure? Then don't do that. Don't have
mm,
that accountability buddy that drags you to the gym or drags you to in front of your laptop so you ride, but maybe create it in a different way that still pushes you outside your comfort zone, but not
mm,
as much so that you go into this fight or flight mode or freeze mode
mm.
of your brain where you're like, nope, nervous system is shutting down and I'm not doing
Yeah.
anything anymore because that's not what we
I
want.
yeah, I've told myself now, from now on, if I do something and it starts to feel like a chore, I'll tell myself, stop, pause.
Yeah.
You do too much, right now. So just relax. Also, because I'm not sure if you're into this, I did my human design. Have you heard of human design?
Ooh, yes, I'm a
Yeah.
manifester.
Oh, I'm a projector. So I did it about a month ago, and
Hmm.
I got it in details, not just a chart, but I also actually got it like explained to me in detail how I can apply it to my life. And I've always, excuse me, always like know that I get overwhelmed easily.
Mm.
And when I make a plan, I never stick to it. I struggle to stick to a plan. And I realized that I can't be rigid. I have to be flexible. I always known that. And which also makes sense why I never like working in a corporate company. I like flexibility.
Hmm.
Anyway, so I did my human design chart and explained, and it made so much sense. It says basically because of my
Yeah.
energy flow, I can't be rigid. Like I said earlier, I can't be rigid. I have to basically go with the flow. Like
Hmm.
if you do make a plan, just make sure it's a plan where you can adapt to any environment, blah blah, things like that. And also that I shouldn't overwhelm myself. So each day, just do maybe like three tasks that's it. Enough. Don't try to like grinding the hustle kind of type of culture is not for me. He said, explained it to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, now it made me feel so much better. So now every single day now, when I sort of like plan my day, I just make sure I only have three, maximum three. And if I do have the energy, like mental capacity to do it, then I might add another little task
Yeah.
in there. But now, and also I told myself, yep, they explained to me that as soon as you feel overwhelmed, stop, take a break. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take a break now. So yeah.
That makes so much sense. Yes. I love that. I love that you checked out your human design
Mm.
because I do feel like it's such
It's
a
so
great
empowering.
entryway into just like
Mm.
understanding yourself a little bit better.
Yeah,
Obviously, some people might be like, oh, it's so woo-woo, but it is a little bit. You don't have to get too much into it
yeah,
because, for my humble personal opinion, you can get too much into it and then you can have
yeah.
like all of these courses and like specialists. And I'm like,
Mm.
maybe that's a little bit too much, but it gives you such a nice entry into just in general understanding yourself a little bit better and having
Yeah,
like this different
clarity.
lens and clarity
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
into like how you're functioning.
yeah.
Like for example, for manifestors, I have like phases of where I'm like really like out there, like super energetic and like I can create and I'm like this bold kind of like thing. But then I also have times where I'm literally a hermit and I don't want to talk to no one and I just want to be like in my own little bubble and just, yeah, be alone basically.
Mm.
And they go hand in hand because I
Hmm.
can't like, but that's something I notice about myself. Like I can't be this outgoing, very out there person if I don't have these quiet moments.
Mm.
And I can't have these quiet moments if I did not let go of this energy that's building up and this like almost it is joy. Like it's really like, oh my God, yes, I need to share all of this stuff. And then I'm like,
Mm.
I need to breathe in. But it just helps you to really honor that and to not force
Yeah.
yourself, for example, in periods where you are in this like resting kind of like inwards
Mm.
part of your life to be like, oh no, 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 I need to push myself, I need to be productive, I need to do all of these things and
Yeah.
make yourself feel bad about it, right? So it's more about understanding that and be like, no, no, I'm in my peaceful period right now, and it's
Mm.
a-okay to be there.
Yeah.
Same if you are like super productive and like, oh my gosh, I'm doing too much. You can always see it obviously from a negative lens, right? But it
Mm.
just gives you this new perspective of no, this is how it's supposed to be. Like right now, I can be really bold, creative, and I can be
Yeah.
putting things out there, and it's okay if I take a break later.
Yeah. Yeah. So if someone has, and we want to kind of move on to imposter syndrome because a lot of us have it. I have it every now and then.
Same.
Yeah. In fact, explain what it is and how to overcome it.
So I don't really like the expression in itself, imposter syndrome, because
Mm.
I would describe it as a very, very
Sounds
well
like a disease.
trained. Yeah,
Syndrome.
exactly. But it's not a disease.
Yeah.
It's just habits, it's routines, it's your thinking patterns, it's your belief system. It's just all of that. It's kind of like a mindset, almost how you see the world. It's like a lens that you see the world through right now, and yourself, obviously. So it's just something you've really well trained throughout like your whole life. So if you have imposter syndrome, if you have this kind of like mindset, it's something that started in a childhood where you had to prove yourself, where you maybe didn't feel as worthy, or where you learned that if you are a certain way, or if you achieve certain things, then you're being praised and you're being loved more, then you get more attention. And all of that then feeds into this, okay, I have to prove myself now constantly, and I have to work hard constantly, and to be like seen and to get like the right attention or to be worthy. At the same time, obviously imposter syndrome then also has us feeling like even though we might be qualified, or we definitely are, we might have the, I don't know, like a degree, university degree,
Mm.
we might have other courses, life
Mm.
experience, whatever. We have the experience, but we still feel like not good enough. But again, that goes back to childhood where someone has
Mm.
made us not feel good enough for who we were at that point in time. And we just kept this little seed of that someone planted in us. And that can be, it doesn't mean that someone did it maliciously
Hmm.
to you. It's It's just happened. It's just something they said. Literally, it doesn't have to be any malevolent intent. But it's like a little seed that our brain took, and then it just grew into this bigger thing, and that now holds us back. And here, the overcoming part is same with any overcoming of thinking patterns, belief system, or changing them, or changing a mindset, is to start thinking differently. And that's easier said than done because obviously
Yeah.
we are so well trained in thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, and like this other person does it way better than me. When will I be called out for being a fraud or whatever the imposter syndrome kind of like
Mm,
thoughts are, right?
yeah.
So here the first step is, and I've been repeating this for like years now, but it really is self-awareness. And it's just knowing when you are getting into those thoughts. So what are those triggers that have you feeling like an imposter, that have you feeling unworthy, like you're not good enough?
Mm,
And then to start shifting those. And that takes time. It's not like, okay, cool, today I will be aware of all my thoughts, and then tomorrow I will rewrite all of my thoughts, and then the day after I will be healed of imposter syndrome. That's not how it works. It's a literally daily process. That's why I'm saying I still have it, because I'm still finding myself in those sometimes in those moments where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not worthy like this. I, I don't feel like I'm really an expert in this, and I shouldn't be talking about this. I shouldn't be doing this. Like, when is someone coming around and be like, Josie, you're a fraud. Like, how dare you say this? So I still
but then,
have that. Yeah,
yeah. And I kind of feel if we forget that there are 8 billion people on this planet, and is it would kind of feel like, oh, all these, there's so many, like we have a niche. There's so many niche that we can tap into. Yes, there could be this niche that is maybe experts or they know more than you, but your own knowledge could be perfect for this niche. So
hmm,
I don't think we should be thinking we're trying to get everyone's validation. Well,
exactly.
not validation, but you know what I mean? Like want everyone to uh to to like us or anything
Yeah.
like that.
And that's
Yeah.
impossible. Like,
Mm,
not even everybody likes pizza, and pizza is
mm,
great. Like, but
yeah.
there are still people out there who will hate pizza. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't please everybody, and that's not the goal of this. It's the goal is
Mm,
for you to feel safe in what you can put out there, what you want to put out
yeah.
there, and to trust that it's still enough, even if
Yeah.
person X doesn't like you, or
Yeah.
if
Or
person
agree
Y
with you.
doesn't agree with
Yeah.
you or
Yeah.
approve of you. They don't
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
But it's really about building the self-trust, and that's where you start with the self-awareness and then changing those
Mm.
thoughts up and be like, hang on, this is actually not how it really is, and really questioning them and be like, just like, is that really a fact? Like, is that really true? Like, am I really not good enough? Like, who's actually
Mm.
carrying? Is that somewhere put in stone? Like, no, it's not. Like, just questioning them and shift them slowly and steady, obviously. Those are the first
You
couple
see,
of
so
steps.
yeah, so like last year, so I'm like really passionate about self-love. And I used to always talk about self-love because of my story, my journey, I'm so passionate about self-love. So I always talk about people what self-love is, da da
Mm,
da. It's like it's not it's self like I share my learnings about my self-love journey, what I learned about self-love, all of that, right? So, and even when I meet people in person and they start talking about self-love, I just flow. I'm so passionate about it. And then people are like, usually they'd be like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. You're right. Da, 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 da,
mhm,
right. So they actually do see that they do say, oh my God, like, I'm so glad I spoke to you, da, 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 you inspire me, all of that kind of stuff. But when it came to actually, okay, I decided maybe I should become a coach for it, like self-love coach. Josie, all of a sudden I became like, can I talk about it? Will people actually
mhm,
believe it? Da, 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 like, but I love talking about it. And yeah, I get so many people who actually agree with me. Or like I said, not everyone has to agree with me. But what I'm trying to say is that when I'm just talking about it, I wasn't afraid. I didn't think, oh, I'm not good enough. Who am I to talk to? But to talk
mhm,
about it. But when I decided I'm going to start as a coach, make into a coaching business, I started getting shy to talk about it. That or even
mm.
to promote my business.
Yeah. So I'm curious here, like, what is your expectation on someone who's like a self-love coach or who
Mm.
runs like a self-love kind of like business? Because it sounds like you have a really high expectation there,
Yeah,
where
I feel
like
like,
there's a
yeah, I
mismatch.
think for me, what it was that coach seemed just really be the title coach seemed really restrictive. Like it seems like in my head, the coach is just sitting here, like me and you, either online talking
Hmm.
da. So when I did do it, I had two clients. I didn't enjoy it because I was just sitting there talking da. And it wasn't flowing. It wasn't like how I want it to be. I think my expectation was I just want to spread my message on about self-love. But when we sat down, actually talked to one, it's not how I expected to be. It's like
Hmm.
wasn't straight just self-love. It was other stuff, like we started talking about accountability, showing up every day for themselves. Although that is part of self-love, but it just wasn't the same. So, anyways, and also I'm an active person. I don't like just sitting down. It just
Hmm.
wasn't for me. But for me, and also the way I developed self-love for myself was through doing stuff like going dancing, heels dance, like learning how to be like learn to tap into my sexiness, sensuality, all
Hmm.
of that stuff. That's all of that helped contribute to my self-love journey. And so I wanted to do more like practical movement stuff. And I kind of felt like does coach do and I started comparing myself. Do coaches do that? I think we should just sit down and talk. That's how I think maybe that's how it should be. And I feel like all these movements should be maybe workshops. So I was I was afraid to try something new. And I think that's what the expectation is.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense because the one interesting thing you also said was like, this is not something coaches do.
Yeah.
So you were comparing obviously yourself to
Yeah.
other coaches to what they were doing, but
Yeah.
then I just want to remind you as to what you said in the beginning, like you can do your thing. Like no one is
Yeah.
doing it like you. You are
Mm,
putting your own mark on things.
mm,
And it's a great thing to challenge norm, right? It's a great thing to challenge what other coaches are doing. Like, do you
yeah.
want to be other coaches or do you want to be you and do your
Mm,
thing?
mm.
And that's obviously one where the imposter syndrome flares up or like those thoughts flare up. But at the
And I start
same
comparing
time,
myself to them. Like, do I talk like them?
yeah,
Thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do I fit in? Like, oh, they will
Yeah.
be calling me out. They will be like, no, you're not a self-love coach. How
Yeah.
dare you doing dancing and whatever? Like, that doesn't fit into like that's those thoughts that we would be having then in that moment. But at the same time, what also then helps to get over it is what you already did is taking just like action in something where it creates a bit more self-trust. So
Mm,
if it is just in your expertise, if it's just in showing up or just getting outside your comfort zone a little bit, and the more you do that, the more self-trust you build, and the easier it will
mm,
be for you to one acknowledge, oh, this is imposter syndrome coming up. This is
yeah.
not us, and then you can make a decision, be like, I will not do that. I will do my thing, and I trust myself that everything will still be fine, and I still love and trust
Mm,
myself to
yeah.
go that route.
So now, recently, so basically I stopped the coaching business. I did it for like 3 months and I stopped because I was just like, I do
Hmm.
not enjoy it. And so I thought it's not for me. I thought coaching is not for me. So I parked it to one side. And then this is how universe works. Like have people come into me, oh, do you still do coaching? I'm like, no, I don't like it. So I don't do it anymore. Right. But recently, so I taught a Pilates class online for my friend's retreat. And so she asked me, oh, can you do half like 20 minutes of self-love workshop and then 20 minutes of Pilates? I was like, okay, cool, no problem.
Hmm.
But I like talking. As I like talking is my way of favorite way of spreading the message. Anyway, so
It's your
obviously
zone
I
of
was
genius.
yeah. So I was just talking, doing the workshop, saying what self-love is. Like I basically obviously asked them like, oh, what does self-love look to you? Blah blah. And then we did a bit of like I did the self-love meditation with them and then affirmations and things like that. Anyway, so through that, I got myself a new client from that. And she said to my friend, I want to work with her. I want to work on my self-love. So now so I'm working with her. And I said to her, okay, the reason why I didn't like coaching before is because I felt like it was just boring just sitting there. I don't feel like we
Mm.
can get anything out of it from just talking. So I said to her, like, I decided I wanted to make it more practical. So I said, don't get me wrong, like if there's a day you just want to talk, we can. But other than that, sometimes I want to be doing things like we get up, we dance on camera, we play music, and we just want to be embodied, like that. I said, oh, sometimes we might do posing workshop, da, da, da. So like all this stuff that I used to like doing to help myself, I want to do that with them. So now, yeah.
I love that.
So then now I think, I don't know when, but I decided, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do my thing. Forget what other coaches do. I'm going to do it my way. And there's no rules how coaches should
No.
be.
And that's, I feel like the beauty in the coaching business, because it should be like you want it to do. It is
Mm-hmm.
very much actually flexible. Obviously, there are certain expectations because of just what we see around us. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, coaching in itself is so moldable. Like it's so flexible. You can shape it into
Mm,
whatever you like. And if your coaching style is being super active and dancing and really getting them into this embodiment, that's such a powerful coaching tool. It's one of the
mm,
first things that I learned in my coaching certification, right? It's embodiment. So you're literally
mm-hmm.
diving already into that. So that just speaks to you finding your true coaching style.
Mm.
So I'm more like now, okay, Celia, where are you taking this year in being bold?
Oh God. Um, After so like I only started with her like last week, so this is going to be our second week, and I decided, you know what, I really want to try this. Maybe I should put it back out there. But then the thing is, I have so much going on. I have the Pilates, I have the now I'm doing like food content, but and this podcast. I'm like, do I really have the capacity to start this coaching?
Hmm.
So I think for me, I mean, I probably can still do it, but oh yeah, because basically with the client, I'm also doing Pilates with her, so I'm
Hmm.
going to incorporate both of them.
Nice, yeah.
So either you can do Pilates with me, or if you want to have more one-to-one with me, you can do coaching and Pilates with me. So like basically Pilates once a week, and we do the embodiment coaching or whatever, how we can call it. Maybe we can call it embodiment coaching. But anyway, yeah. Um, that, yeah, could be an option. So at least I'm just adding another service to the
Mm.
Pilates. I guess you know what? The human design, in fact, did say that I should be doing coaching.
Oh,
It
there
did
you
say
go.
that. Yeah, it did say that I need to focus, because I need to do less, but do um more things that are more big, has bigger impact. So
Hmm.
like basically high ticket stuff, high ticket services. Um, so they said, yeah, the coaching. When I
Well,
saw that, I was just like, oh, well, guess maybe I should, yeah. So yeah, I guess this year, yeah, probably I'll have to give it another try. But I
and
won't
you
put pressure
already
on
are.
myself.
You already
Yeah,
are. That's a
I
great
am.
thing. And
Yeah.
I just want to remind you of what we said at the beginning. Like, it doesn't have to be like immediately now. And
Mm,
you don't have to do everything now and start everything now.
yeah,
You're already doing it anyway with that
yeah,
one client, right? So
yeah,
maybe that's your entryway into it and you ease yourself
yeah,
into it with peace and then you can go bold. Maybe it's
yeah,
just right now about you finding your true style, you know?
yeah. You know what I find? Things, I don't know about you, things always seem to start happening second half of the year.
Mm.
Happens to me all the time. And I'm thinking, why didn't it happen earlier? Like
Yes.
last year, for example, a vision board. Last year I actually, top of my vision board, I actually have I don't know if you saw my story, but so my company's called My Body. And I put my body, the logo, and I put a laptop
Hmm.
subscription. And I said basically saying like, I want this is how I'm going to relaunch it, because I kind of left it for a bit. I'm going to relaunch it, and this is how it's going to be now. It didn't happen until September. I was just thinking, why didn't I do it before? Why didn't I think of it before? But yeah. So
Mm. I feel
what about
like
you?
it always happens to like the perfect time anyway.
Mm,
And at the same time, it's also, we're right now in winter, right?
yeah.
So I feel like winter season anyway is always like a season where we, one, rest, we need to recharge and just like
Mm,
get our energy back, get our things back together. It's a time of coming together. It's a time of loving connection, like with yourself, with others. And the focus is less on production. Like even in nature itself, nothing is really growing. Everything is resting and
yeah. Like
recovering.
the mammals are hibernating. They don't come out until
Exactly.
spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hibernating. So then it's basically when you recharge, and then in spring you just lay those foundations so something can grow. You plant the seeds, you do the things, then obviously summer come fall, that's when you can reap your harvest.
Mm.
So it makes
I
total
need,
sense.
yeah, I need your tip on something. So I bought calendar.
Ooh, that's a big one. I
Yeah,
like,
so I can map out like what I want to do this year.
yeah.
Okay, so I can see the highlight. Anyway, when I first bought it, I was like, oh, gas. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna plan ahead. The other day when I opened it up, I started trying to like, although this is not set in stone, it's literally just a guide, some sort of like roughly what I want to do throughout the year. I started getting anxious.
Mm.
I start feeling, oh my God, well, I'll be like, okay, in the beginning, I'll tell myself, okay, Celia, you're gonna map this out like there's no obstacle. Just put it down. Don't judge, blah, blah. Don't think about other stuff, just put it down. But then I'll still be like, oh, is this April? Is that a bit early? Where would I be? How would my finance look like? Would I be able to do this? Da, 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 da. I start getting anxious. Like,
Hmm.
do you have any tip for me?
So
Panic.
here, what I first want to say, it's so great that you already noticed you're getting anxious because
Mm,
that's your brain going into, hang on, this is dangerous, this is uncertain territory, we don't know this, like we can't read the future, like what's going to happen. So you already noticed that's going on. So the feeling that then came was anxiety and being like, huh, can I really actually do this?
mm,
So this is basically like your self-sabotage type coming up, like your saboteurs and being like, maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe we should stay safe and like go back to
mm,
bed. Like I feel like the saboteurs in itself, they are not nothing bad. They just want to keep you safe, right? So it's one really, really great that you already noticed that. At the same
mm,
time, the question to change it now would be to just question those saboteurs. Like, what would be the worst case scenario? What if you
mm,
run out of finances? What if something like really bad happens in your family, or if you maybe are you still like in a different job right
mm,
now? But what if you lose that? Like
mm,
one way is to just get the facts straight and stop
mm.
hypothesizing, yeah, to like what could happen, what if, and not
Write
just
this
stick
down.
with the bad what if scenario and the
Mm,
worst case scenario, but to actually lay down like the truth of it, like but if I run out of finances, what would I do? Would I just stop and die? Like, no, you don't die. You would make
mm.
it work. You would still
Yeah,
get your ass up and do something about it, right? So you wouldn't just sit there or lay on the floor and be like, I ran out of money. I can't do nothing no more. I can't live no more. Like, that's not what's gonna happen.
that's so true. Because one time, yeah, I like 2023, I went to America for 10 days. One was for an event and also for a workshop that I was doing
Mhm.
with my friend out there, and then another trip to New York. So I did three places. One was to Austin, Texas, uh, uh, Bay Area, and in New York. Now, at the time, I was a personal trainer, so I had more income coming in. But however, I stretched it out a bit, as in like I stretched my finance out a bit for during that trip because I knew, to be honest, I was really pushing it. I couldn't
Mhm.
really the whole trip, but somehow made it happen. And because when I went, by the time I went to New York, because things in Austin, Texas was so expensive. Let's put this first of all.
Like in the US, everything is expensive, I feel like.
Yeah, so it's expensive. I was thinking, oh fuck, okay, anyway. But and for so I was just like trying to be smart with my money and the food choices. Anyway, so went to New York now. Stayed in obviously the hotel was already been booked. But I don't know how I managed to do I still went shopping.
Hmm.
I don't know how I managed to do it. But oh yeah, because basically I knew, oh yeah. So I knew I was gonna get paid sort of like second day when I was in New York because
Hmm.
one of my clients was going to pay me then, so I knew. So that's how. And at the time, we're just like, you know what, just surrender. The universe will help you. And like you said, I was thinking to myself, what's the worst thing? You just, if anything, just go 7-Eleven and buy food. That's it, or
Yeah,
something like that.
exactly. You don't go to a restaurant, you just go
Yeah,
7-Eleven. 7-Eleven, by
yeah,
the way, is great. I love
yeah.
7-Eleven.
Your flight is you already have a return ticket. You have a return ticket. It's not like you
Yeah.
can't go home. So yeah, if anything, you can just ask someone to send you money or something like that. But So yeah, I do understand what you mean. Like you will make it work. So like that trip, for example, I somehow just adapted to it. Yeah.
Exactly. And there you already have like your example that if
Mm.
you might be like in this kind of like ordeal kind of like situation where like "Ugh, something could go wrong now, you still made it
Yeah.
work. You're still here. Like we're talking right now. You're a-okay. So
Mm.
you will make it work. So it's really about debunking those kind of like thoughts that create the anxiety and then to shift that like, but what if it works out?
Mm.
What if we really make this happen? Like, how will I feel then? How will I be then? Like, how will I grow? Who will I become? And to get you more into a space of being excited about it and really being like, heck yeah, I'm gonna do this now, and I'm gonna love the process. And to just shift this anxiety into excitement instead. So it's really a shift in feelings. That will not be the case like all the time. It
Mm.
doesn't mean like, again, you don't do it once and you're like, I'm fine now. You could do it today, feel great, and then tomorrow you wake up and you feel anxious again. That's totally fine. So we do this process again, like what has caused your anxious thoughts now, and
Mm.
then shift that and take some action towards that.
Mm.
So it's really this constant. It's like reps in the gym. You're training your brain to just think differently
Yeah.
and be like, oh, hang on, anxiety. Okay, I'm dreading this right now. Is this really true? Like, is it based
Mm.
on facts? Like, how can I think differently? How can I feel better about it and
Yeah.
change it?
So, because you're a mindset coach, right? And obviously, I know you're into the gym, weightlifting. How do you motivate yourself? Or is there at any point that you feel demotivated?
Oh yeah, there's loads of times I feel
Yeah.
demotivated with going to the gym. But so for me, I actually only started going to the gym properly before when I came here to the UK. I came here
Mm.
2018. Before
Mm-hmm.
that, I had a really, really bad routine, really bad habits in terms of
Mm.
working out. I hated it. I hated
Mm.
sports. I didn't want to move my body. I did it like more forcefully because I was like, oh, I have to do it because I need to lose weight. I need to look a certain way. So I was very much like on external focus and stuff. It wasn't a very healthy relationship with my body in any sense. When I got
Mm.
here, I was like, I will change that now. I want to change it. I will find something that I enjoy doing. And I signed up with a personal trainer back then, and she just really helped me to fall in love with my body and to
Oh,
fall in love with the routine of
yeah.
working out. And ever since I haven't stopped. So for the last like over 6 years, I've been working out religiously. Now for me, it's my second nature. It's just a part of me. I see myself as a gym bunny or whatever, weightlifter,
Mm.
doesn't matter. Um, but what helped was one, again, the accountability buddy. It
Mm-hmm.
was writing it down, like, and not in a sense of I want to lose 10 kilo or I want to build 10 kilo muscle or I want to look this certain way. It was more like write down your workout, write down exactly what you're doing, and
Mm.
then do it, track your workouts.
Mm.
And that really helped me to just keep on going or to just have like a workout plan in general because you're like, I know exactly what I gotta do. I do it, and then at the end of it, I will have achieved certain things. I can obviously see if I went up in weights or not.
Yeah.
So just those tiny little progress steps that really help. Um, it
You know
didn't
what?
really take before after pictures, I have to say,
Yeah.
because
I never,
that was my goal.
yeah, I never really did it. I tried to, but then I thought, oh, fuck it, I can't be bothered now. But,
Yeah.
about, you know how you said writing the workout. So for me, I do find like, although like I know what to do in the gym, obviously, so I would have it like have a plan in my mind. So mentally I have a plan. But I do find actually having it written down somehow it's the same as what I've been thinking.
Mm.
Well, right, having written down I seem to stick to it more.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not saying that I don't do the whole workout when I have not don't have it written, it's in my mind, but somehow I just have it like accountability
Yeah.
there.
It's
Just
more
can't really explain it.
tangible. It's more
Yeah.
tangible because the one thing is obviously in your brain, it can
Mm.
go anywhere. Like
Yeah.
it's very volatile in your brain.
Mm.
Like loads of things are going on, loads of thoughts are coming and passing, and you don't even remember half of them in like 5 minutes. So by you writing it down, you're like you just put your thoughts onto paper and you're like, this is what I gotta do. that's it. And you just do it and you show up. Obviously, like if you have really a day where you're like, no, I don't want to do nothing, then you can be maybe, okay, do I feel like doing something? Do I still want to move my body because it makes me feel great? Then maybe just do a walk or do a
Mm,
yoga session or just do a stretch, do something lighter, do a
yeah.
cardio session if you don't want to do weights. Um, I do feel like it's so important to always check in with your body and not force yourself through
Mhm.
the workout.
Yeah.
So, especially when you're in your 30s, like, sorry, but my body aches constantly nowadays.
Oh,
So I'm
yeah.
like,
It,
my
it,
shoulder
it
hurts.
takes long. It takes longer to recover, right?
It does, it does. And that
Oh,
takes adjusting. It takes you
yeah.
to be aware of that and be like, okay, maybe if my neck hurts again, maybe I shouldn't do as many upper body
Yeah.
exercises or like go really heavy. Maybe I can do something else and do gentle stretches to just to support it rather
Yeah.
than being in
When I
absolute agony.
when I was 25, I remember there was this guy, I don't know how old he was. He definitely was older than me, probably like maybe early 30s. But anyway, he said to me, um, he goes, "Oh, I'm still recovering from the gym." I was like, "What do you mean? When did you work out?" "Oh, 2 days ago." And I was like, "What do you mean? Have you not recovered?" He goes, "No." He goes, I said, "I recovered the next day." He's like, and he goes, "How old are you?" I'm like, "I'm 25." And he was like, "Yeah, you're still young. Wait until you're 30s." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I just thought you just have bad body structure or whatever, things like that. I was like, "I've got good genes." And I got to my 30s, I was like, I get it now. But I'm not saying that's
Mm.
really bad, but it's not the same as in your 20s. Whether you're healthy, even if you're eating like really healthy or have a healthy lifestyle, the body just doesn't do the same thing as how it used to do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's totally okay. And I actually have to say, so right now, my routine, I changed up in a way that I have only three like heavy sessions a week. And I
Yeah.
really love them because I get enough time in between to recover. But at the same
Mm,
time, on the other days, I have then two cardio sessions and definitely one longer yoga session, one rest
mhm.
day. And sometimes we even combine then yoga with the cardio or after the longer weight sessions. And
Yeah.
that just really gave me like this nice blend of I can go ham, I can go crazy, I can go really
Mm,
heavy and strong in those sessions, but I also give myself enough time and this flexibility of I can do different hit workouts on this day. I can do different yoga sessions this day. And it's not as forceful, but just having
mm,
this rough idea of like what I want to do. And then obviously for the weighted sessions, it's written down.
mhm,
But that also helps just sticking to it because you have variety, you still have flexibility. And that's in a
mm.
supportive way rather than you have to work out 6 times a week and you have to go hams every single day.
Yeah. I think that some people actually do feel like go hard or go home. And if they didn't work out, if they didn't sweat, they feel like they didn't have a good workout, which is why a lot of people don't like doing yoga or Pilates or don't actually do stretching because if they they don't think it's necessary. But it's like, first of all, some people do sweat in my Pilates classes, but it's not even about sweating. It's always sometimes it's about just mobility,
Hmm.
working on the smaller muscles that you didn't realize you have.
Yeah.
Those contribute to your performance, to the way you move. And also especially for women, I
Mm.
think we've been programmed to think that we have to train like men. We don't have testosterone like men.
Yeah, we
Like we
can't train the
yeah,
same
we
way.
yeah, and also we don't handle stress like them. Me, when I say stress, I'm not talking about like life stress. I'm talking about in the gym, that kind of the way you stress your
Mm.
body is actually we can't handle it like men. And it depends on our cycle. If you're still menstruating, we have to work according to our cycles. So, and yeah, because I like, there's this toxic mindset that some women have, like, if men can do it, so can I. Da, 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 da. Like, if I can lift
Yeah.
heavy, like seriously, just yeah.
You definitely can lift heavy, but at the same
Yeah.
time, do acknowledge and honor your like
Your feminine
rest
body.
cycles and your feminine
Yeah.
body. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it totally goes against nature to just constantly be pushing.
Mm,
Nature rests, so you rest because you're part of it.
yeah. Exactly. One last thing.
Mm.
Because you said I stand fiercely in the magic. Women to stand fiercely in the magic. How do you do that? How can someone stand
Mm.
fiercely? Oh no,
Yeah.
wait.
I know what you mean,
Yeah,
fiercely.
fiercely in the magic.
Do you know what? Sorry, I was thinking about this the other day that I actually don't believe that fierceness and confidence and everything
Mm,
has to be like so much like out there and in your face and be like, oh my God, I'm
mm,
screaming at you. It doesn't
yeah,
have to be like that.
doesn't, yeah.
Like fierceness can just come from you being so certain in yourself and who you are that you accept and love yourself. It goes back to self-love.
Mm,
Um, anyway, even if you don't go like out there that way, if
mm,
you like sometimes just sitting on your sofa reading a book and sipping on your coffee, you can still be fierce in your being, in your authenticity. It doesn't need to be fierce all the time in terms of like, I gotta be now, like whatever expectation you might have. So I'm just throwing something out there. I gotta be now in my bikini on Instagram and have like a tanned, toned body and I don't know, whatever, like have the perfect
mm,
makeup on and just be out there and scream about things like that doesn't need to be fierce. Fiercely standing in your magic means that you carry this deep, deep self-trust within you that you love and accept yourself exactly as you are, and you still go your own way and you trust your own way. You don't let it deviate by other people's expectations or opinions. You go where you want to go. And that's also why I wrote my book, And There She Goes Her Way, because it's really
mm,
about you
mm.
finding and stepping and staying in your own authenticity, in your own fierceness, in your own confidence. That's what
Yeah.
it basically means.
Mhm. Okay, so let me ask you a few questions.
Mm.
Like giving people's advice last bit here. Um, hold on, let me get my questions up. If someone so if someone asks what you talk about self-trust a lot in
Mm.
your a lot about trust, self-love, but how can you build self-trust if you don't already have it?
Do something you're scared of. And I know, I know, and I know that's like a kind of like general answer, but it's something that you don't feel confident in, something
Yeah.
that you don't trust yourself in right now,
Mm,
because right now you have like this bubble, this is your zone of comfort, this is your self-trust bubble, but you want to
mm,
expand it, right? So you want to have more of that. So if you want to build it, you got to do something that you haven't done before. And
mm,
again, it doesn't need to be anything crazy where you're now like going into like a crowded you don't need to go to Trafalgar Square and do a public speaking or whatever. It doesn't need to be something that far
mm,
out of your comfort zone. Maybe it's just you trying a different sport. Maybe it's you, instead of going to the gym, you go climbing and you do a
mm,
really tricky climbing track. That is
yeah.
already building self-trust. Or maybe it is you going live on Instagram. If you haven't gone live on Instagram before,
Mm,
and you see you like your reaction. If you haven't done that before, do that and try it maybe for
mm,
2 minutes and try it again and again and again until you
yeah.
feel comfortable in doing that. That's how you build that self-trust. So it's really about doing those tiny little things here and there where you can that you haven't done before, where you shit scared of,
Mm.
and keep on doing those. And that's how you expand it.
Let me tell you what I did. So I did something really icky that I feel really icky recently. But I was like, Celia, you got to do this. Anyway, it was I wouldn't say it's scary, but it's just icky. But anyway, so um I printed some leaflets for
Mhm.
my Pilates classes, online Pilates classes, and I was like, let me hand it out to people's door, put it through people's door. I hate leafleting, but I was like, sometimes, you got to do it. People won't know. I mean, that's another way. Yes, it's traditional. It's an old-fashioned way to do it, but if you don't try, how would you know it's not going to work? So as I will go to people's houses, oh my God, the anxiety get when I
Yeah.
go to house, I'm thinking, please don't open the door when I put the things through the letterbox. I like to go to houses where they have the letterbox outside the gate as
Hmm.
opposed to walk into the door.
Yeah.
Especially, I hate those houses that has long front yards. I have to walk all the way down. I'm thinking,
Hmm.
oh,
They could
that.
be watching you out from the window.
Yeah, because for me, because I think it's also because if someone puts these kind of leaflet, I'll be like, what they're putting into my door now, and have a spam mail, something like that. I'm thinking, oh God. people might have a go at me. People might think, oh, why is she putting spam mail into my box, all of that.
Yeah.
So, but I did it anyway. So I thought, let me just train myself getting uncomfortable, as I always say, train myself to be uncomfortable for a bit. And if I can overcome it, because it's my ego. My ego is like, oh, this is icky. Da, 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 like, you're putting yourself out there. Although my face is all over social media, but this, I don't know, it's just different. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a different setting, it's something you haven't done before, right? So
Yeah.
again, it's like you then start building that self-trust though, because you actually did it. And you again notice your saboteurs coming up here and being like, oh, what if someone is like calling me out? So that's great
Yeah.
self-awareness.
Mm. And but, what advice would you give to this person if they said, oh, sorry. How do you deal with the pressure of social media and seeing other people's goals and achievements?
I don't scroll.
Oh, you don't scroll. Okay.
So that
If
is
someone
that,
does,
yeah.
does scroll all the
I
time.
mean, that is my tactic, my personal one, that I don't scroll. I don't consume. So how I did it was I did spend time basically and went through my phone, and whoever triggered me,
Mm,
whoever caused me to feel like an imposter, caused me to compare, caused me to be like, oh, I should write about this.
unfollow.
I was like, unfollow or mute. So
Uh-huh.
most of the time I mute. Like most of the people I follow, I muted
Mm,
because that allowed me to still follow them. And if I want to consume the content, I can do it so intentionally because I can go to their account and be like, I want to like these kind of like things. I really like that. And I spent intentional time on their content. So
mm,
that's why I'm saying like I don't scroll. And
mm,
if someone else is heavily like using Instagram and does get triggered by this and scrolls a lot, I would also say try scroll less or find other ways so it doesn't trigger you as much. If you find yourself triggered by those things, unfollow, mute, do something that does not trigger these kind of feelings, or know how to notice those feelings in the moment and shift them and make them mean less about yourself, because it's really
mm,
about your decision of making them mean something about you that's then diminishing your self-trust and it's causing the self-doubt to bubble up, right? So if you see
mhm,
someone else with amazing abs or having great goals or achieving all of these amazing things, and you're like, oh, I didn't do this yet, or I should have done this. Why can't I look like this? Then it's really about you noticing that and be like, that doesn't mean anything about me. The fact that this person did it doesn't mean anything about me. If I want to
mm,
do those things, what can I do from now on to make them happen? That's
mhm,
a very different kind of like perspective to have. So those are definitely two tactics I would recommend, or to just limit your scroll time and be like,
mm.
I give myself 5 minutes. 5 minutes today where I can scroll blindly through cat videos and travel videos as I do when I give myself the time. And then I stop. And I just stop and it's like, fine, like it doesn't need to go down into a rabbit hole and I don't need to make it mean something about myself because it doesn't.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, so let's wrap it up here. Thank
Mm.
you so much, Josie. Anything else in fact, anything else that you want to sort of mention before we go?
Well, I guess the last thing I would mention is if anyone wants to get in touch with me, please do
Hmm.
so. You can find me anywhere and everywhere with just my name, Josi Dumont. So that's Josi and then Dumont, if you want to say it in French, which is Dumont. So I have my website, Instagram, Threads, LinkedIn. You can find me on YouTube, podcast. Obviously, your podcast that I have your episode with me on my podcast will come out soon as well. It's actually the season finale of my podcast, your episode. So it's very special and I'm very
Oh,
excited for that. But yeah, do get in touch anywhere and everywhere with josiedumont.com.
amazing. I love that. Thank you so much today. I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you for having me. This was super fun. I loved
It
it.
was fun. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're on Spotify, iTunes, as always, like I said, please leave me 5-star reviews. You leave me some nice review, a comment, I love to, you know what? I love to read them. And also if you're on YouTube, subscribe if you haven't already, leave me a comment. And yeah, because that will help me grow my channel and reach out to more people. So yes. Anyway, I'll see you at the next episode, guys. Thank you. Bye bye.